humans, it's just Martine, and welcome to the start of a spring break reading vlog. I'm packing my bags and headed back home for spring break, and I was asking myself, what do I need a break from right now? I need a break from work, for sure. I need a break from the city that I live in, 100%. I also need a break from secret books. I feel like all I've been saying recently is, can't tell you what I'm reading, it's a secret. Can't tell you what I'm reading, it's a secret. Can't tell you what I'm reading, it's a secret. Can't tell you what I'm reading, it's a secret. Can't tell you what I'm reading, it's a secret. Can't tell you what I'm reading, it's a secret. And I'm tired of it. And I'm sure you are too, and I'm sorry about it. And I'm still working on that balance, but I figured the first step to that balance is a spring break from my secret books. The goal this week is to read for fun books that I can tell you about and talk about books and have a silly little fun time. Reading books for no reason. That's the whole goal. Also visiting with my family, visiting my friends, having a good time. But the goal of this video, silly little books for no silly little reason. The other day I started Thanks for Listening, which is a YA book with an ace main character. I'm super jazzed about it. It does not have very good ratings on Goodreads, but it's fairly new, so I'm going to give it a shot. So far, I'm 20% of the way in, and I think I know where it's headed. I'm not sure about it yet, but we'll chat about it when I make more progress. Other than that, I have literally no idea what I'm going to read this week. Will it be a book for my shelves back home? Will it be something random from my library that I just want to read? Will it be something random on my Kindle? I don't know. Let's find out. Okay, happy spring break. But first, I have to get back home. Hello friends, happy Sunday. Yesterday was a crazy day. I traveled in the morning and then my parents and I were busy all afternoon. We went to see the movie Unbreakable Boy, and aside from the first 5 minutes of the movie, which we accidentally missed, I can say that I really enjoyed it. It's based on a true story, so I think some of the plotting and pacing was a bit wacky because they were trying to stick like close to life, which is fair, but it just felt different than if it had been just a story. Regardless, I teared up a few times. So that one's a movie about this family. Their eldest son has autism spectrum disorder and also this brittle bone disease, and is also like the happiest person ever. And he was precious and I loved him with my whole heart. It was a good story about family and hardship and joy and what things matter and what don't, and yeah, it was really special. I also finished reading a book on the plane yesterday. I finished reading Thanks for Listening, which I'm giving 3.5 stars. It's a YA story with an ace main character, which is why I picked it up. And I was even more pleased to find out that the main character is involved in theater. Specifically, she was a stage manager in her senior production, so she was a techie in her high school drama club. As you've seen from some of my vlogs on the channel, performing arts mean a lot to me, so the fact that that was a part of the story was extra special. Basically, the setup is like nobody listens to her advice. Like, they all have problems and she gives them advice, but they never follow this advice and it always ends badly for them. So in the opening scene, like, her friend has not listened to her advice about how to handle power tools and a grisly accident has occurred. And so she basically takes to the internet to try and give anonymous advice, and specifically to try and target her classmates so that they will actually listen to her advice for once and live better lives. I had some problems with the main character. I think they were definitely things that were addressed and that she grew through, but she just made some choices that made me uncomfortable. I understand the desire to help people, but she definitely had this perspective that she was right all the time, which again, I think she grew through, but it was just a little painful to read sometimes. And also her best friends were terrible friends to her for most of the book, which, spoiler alert, did get addressed, but that just drove me nuts too. I thought the pacing was a bit off. We would have a scene and then we would skip forward a random amount in time because it kind of spanned like the whole of her senior year, and it was a pretty short and quick book. And I think the romance suffered for it because there's a romance between our main character and another character in this book, and it's a really sweet romance. Like, they're a really sweet couple, and I would have liked to see more of them, to be honest, and see more of their growing connection. Instead, we just saw them in fits and starts, which I didn't really prefer. The way that they interacted with one another, I think the book had the potential to be really, really great if we got to see more of that and how that connection built over time. So those were my critiques of the book, but overall, I'm glad there's another ace main character out in the world. I think this is a good book for like perfectionistic teens who want to help and fix everything around them, but who also let people walk all over them when they help them. It has good lessons about like boundaries and stuff like that, which I think is really valuable for a teen audience. I mean, for all audiences, but teens especially. I feel like there are maybe not a ton of books about boundaries, so that was nice. And again, I really liked how the main character and the love interest interacted with one another. I just wish we could have seen that a bit differently. There was also this weird third act breakup thing that was like so ridiculous and silly. It was so contrived and like unnecessary. So I wish that just hadn't existed in the book, to be honest. But it is what it is. I still had a fun time reading it, and it made for a great plain read. Very quick. I read like 2/3 of it yesterday morning, so before my brain was on, probably, and I still followed along, which is a good sign. And then I got to shop my shelves a little bit yesterday, and I picked out a really random book for my next read. It's Swell by Jill Eisenstadt, and I'm not very far into it, so I can't really explain it yet. But one of the reasons I wanted to try this again is because this is one of the few books that I've like soft DNF'd since I started really book collecting. I got this at the Dollar Tree once, and I tried to read it. This was a fatal mistake. At the end of a ridiculous reading challenge where like my brain was off, and I was like, it's short, so I'll pick it up. And then I couldn't understand what was happening. And I started it last night, and I absolutely can't understand what's happening. So I just think my brain was like unwell. So I'm happy that I didn't actually just give up on it completely and get rid of it then, because so far I'm intrigued, but this is the current read. Today we're traveling to go visit my sister, so I don't know how much I'll get done today or how much I'll film, but I'll be happy, and that counts for something too. So I'll read this on the drive, and we'll see. Good morning, friends. Happy Monday. Yesterday was a really good day. I got to see my sister. We went out for a yummy lunch, and I read my book in the car. And last night I went to bed around 8:30 with like 40 minutes left of this book. So this morning I woke up and I finished it, and I'm giving it 3 stars. This book is largely about this one beach house. When we start this book, the house is owned by this lady in her 80s. She's lived there like her whole life, I think, and the house means a lot to her. But then something really terrible happens in this house, and that's like the backdrop, the context to the house's history, so that when we move forward past the prologue to like the meat of the story, we are following this family who has just moved into this house. They're kind of down on their luck, and they're kind of a strange family. I mean, all families have strange parts. The mother is about to convert to Judaism after a lot of pressure from both her husband and her father-in-law. Her father-in-law is the reason they can live in the house, and he is also living in the house. The house has not been like fixed, so it's kind of a disaster zone, and that's very much reflective of their lives too. This woman is like very pregnant with her 3rd child. Her 2 existing children are quite strange. Their next door neighbor is quite nosy and invested in their family and protecting them, which is nice in some ways, but like he's got a lot of his own drama going on. And then the old woman who used to live in the house returns, and she insists it is still her house. And so no matter how many times they send her away, like she just keeps turning up. This story is following all of these characters and their weirdness, and it's hard to say what the point of the story was. I just think it was like a messy thing getting messier and messier and messier, and I'm not sure like what the ending did for me. It was still pretty interesting. Like, I didn't have a bad time reading this, hence the 3 stars. I just don't feel like I really got much from it. It was interesting though. This was like sitting next to me in the car yesterday, and I had a frozen lemonade and a bottle of blue Gator Light, and so my drinks completely matched my book, which was fun. Now this means that I get to pick my next read. In the background, I'm reading 2 secret things. I'm making progress each day on 112 TBR's book. And right now I'm reading a mystery thriller for that. And then I'm reading a book for Kindle Clear Out, and that's like a historical fiction situation. So I want to avoid choosing a book with those 2 genres for my next pick. So let me change the lighting so that you can see my book situation, and we'll go hunting for a book together. As a reminder, this absolute disaster of an area is my owned TBR section. There's a lot of other stuff down here, but like I have this bookshelf here, and then I have like, I'm so sorry for the mess, a bunch of like boxes full of books. My first instinct is that I want something that's either like a sci-fi or a fantasy, maybe, which would basically rule out these 2 shelves, which is fair because most of these are mystery thrillers, and then most of these are historical books, whereas like the 3rd shelf down is like sci-fi, fantasy. So I have those as options, but nothing on there is like catching my eye. So I might turn to one of my book boxes, and in particular from this book box, I was thinking about some of the options in here earlier. I was thinking about Future Home of the Living God by Louise Erdrich earlier. I think this is like a sci-fi but more dystopian situation, which I could be really down for. I will say, from my main shelves, this book has also been catching my eye, Mission Child. So I think these are my 2 main options. I'm trying to hold my microphone and the book at the same time. It's hard. These are my 2 main options, which out of the 2 of them, I've had this one longer. So mayhaps getting something from my shelf that's been there longer, my TBR that's been there longer would be good. Let me remind myself what this is about. Okay, I think this one could be really timely because it's largely about like pregnancy and childbearing and how they become issues of state security. So this could have some commentary I'm looking for right now. On the other hand, this book has commentary about gender, which I'm also looking for right now. I'm trying to determine like book feel in my hands, because I will say my experience of reading this book was enhanced by the fact that I just loved holding it. So I don't know. This one's a little tall. It's also a hardback, which is not usually my preference, but I enjoyed holding this hardback the other day. I know this is such a silly reason to pick a book, but here I am. So this one's kind of big to hold. This one might be a little small right now though, but it's a used copy and I kind of like how it feels. I think I'm not going to read them both at once, although I guess they're both very different. I'm so conflicted. Because at first I was like, I think I'm really feeling this one, but then when I held this one, I was like, ooh, maybe I'm feeling this one. Here's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to start Future Home of the Living God. Then maybe my read after that will be Mission Child. Or maybe not. Maybe my vibe will have shifted. But for now, this is the pick. This is it. I know that was like a lot for just this decision to come up. So that's the plan. Happy Thursday. I cannot remember the last time I talked to you. I think it was when I was picking out Future Home of the Living God, which I finished yesterday, and I'm giving it 3.5 stars because I feel like I'm on a bit of a 3.5 star streak right now. Like, I enjoyed it, but this book is about a world. I think it's slightly futuristic, but like not much, in which evolution has started to reverse. I've seen some reviews online that say, and I would agree with this, that part of the book was very vague. Like, the author wanted to create a setup where women's bodies would be controlled, and that was the way that she did it. But we didn't really understand what that meant. It really wasn't fleshed out. And that's okay, because I don't think that backstory was like the main point of this book. We're following a character. She was adopted, but she has some native heritage, so she wants to find her biological parents and connect to her tribe. And also, she is pregnant. And then this like event happens, and suddenly the government is trying to take all pregnant women in and like control them. Ernie is upset about that too. Isn't that right, Ernie? That's an upsetting thing. So we're following our character as she's trying to escape the government and make it through her pregnancy safely. The ending, I'm not sure the ending did anything for me. It kind of felt like we were still going. I didn't feel like there was necessarily a resolution. I guess like part of the plot was resolved, but not the big things that mattered to me. It was fine and it was conceptually interesting, but it didn't go as deep as I wanted it to, I'll be honest. Other things that have been happening in my life the past few days. I mean, I've been doing a lot of reading. I've been doing some video editing. It has been very nice outside. We can go explore outside for a few minutes. It's been in like the 70s, so it's been like cool but not cold, and it's been sunny the past few days. Over the weekend, it was like miserably rainy and cold, which wasn't fun. But a lot of the reason I haven't been vlogging is because I've just been like enjoying the world around me for the past few days. I've been able to see my friends some. I've been spending a lot of time in the backyard on walks and stuff. I just watched a bunch of squirrels run away. That was fun. So it's like the perfect weather out here, which is very nice. One thing that I've been thinking about the past few days is like I have this really bad habit of fearing the end of something and focusing on the fact that time is moving quickly and something is almost over instead of actually being in a moment and enjoying it. So I've been working really hard to try and be here, enjoying my spring break instead of being like, time is passing and spring break is almost over, which is hard. And I don't think I'm doing it perfectly, but I think the intention is there, and that's a good first step. Yay for that. I haven't started another physical book yet because I have a couple of ebooks I need to finish before the end of the month. There are 2 days left in February. So my focus has been that. But I would like to read at least one, if not two more, of my owned books from my shelves while I am here with them. So that's going to be the goal. I might do Mission Child because I'm still kind of interested in that, but I might also pick something new. So I'll keep you updated about that. Ernie! Ernie! Hi! He hates the paparazzi. Yeah, I know. I couldn't reach my camera because I like didn't have my phone next to me, but I was editing on the couch a couple of minutes ago and he was literally on my arm. Like I couldn't edit. I had to move him because he wanted to be on my arm. He's ridiculous. See, I just want to be loved and held. Oh, you have stuff all over your face. Come here. Is that better? Yeah. I'm filming the intros and outros for TBR Crime, and I tried to leave Ernie out of the room, but Ernie wants to join the K9 unit. Hi, buddy. Thank you. Hello, happy Friday. I have some updates for you. I have managed to acquire 2 books, and I have also managed to finish a book. So things are happening. Yesterday, I went on a trip to one of the Dollar Trees in town with my mom, and she treated me to 2 books. They actually kind of match. They have the partially obscured face of a woman on them and also light blue. I don't know why. The first one is The Foundling by Anne Leary. It's a historical fiction book set in 1927 following this girl who has gotten this job at this women's asylum. She's under this female doctor who's like the top of her class in medical school and like a huge deal. But then apparently while she's working there, she encounters somebody that she knew previously, and it becomes apparent that maybe this institution is not exactly what they say that it is. So it's kind of like a thriller situation. Anyway, it seemed interesting to me. I was reading a review on Goodreads that was talking about the fact that this was well researched, but that the researched information, did not like take away from the storytelling or take you out of the story. This is based on a historical event that I like know nothing about. I really like picking up historical books that teach me about something that I have no clue about. So that's the first pick. And then the second one is The Wonder by Emma Donoghue. The main reason I picked this is because the other Emma Donoghue book that I've read, Room, was a 5-star read for me. So I trust her implicitly. This one takes place in Ireland, where there's this girl who is like claimed that she hasn't eaten anything for months and months and months. And so this nurse, I think, is sent to go watch over her. And at first she's like, I think this is stupid. I think she's playing a trick on these people. But then weird things are happening and she's like, maybe not. So I don't know. That was a really weird concept and interesting. And I feel like it would be an intriguing concept regardless. But what really sold me on this was Emma Donoghue being the author. So I was like, heck yeah. So those were my 2 picks from the Dollar Tree. And then really randomly, I know we all expected me to pick up Mission Child, and I still might tomorrow, but no promises. I picked up a random book from my shelves yesterday. I read 30 pages yesterday, and then the rest of it today. Poison's Kiss, which is like a YA fantasy based in like Indian mythology. I'm giving it 4 stars. In this story, we're following this girl who basically has been exposed to venom so much over time that she becomes poisonous. So she's like an assassin. The way that she assassinates people is that she kisses them. So obviously it's like a light YA romantasy. I don't mean light as in not dark themes. I mean light as in like the romance is not extreme or anything in this. The reason to kick off the story is that she's told to kill this one person, but it's a person that like maybe she likes. So suddenly she's like, I don't want to kill that person. Here's what I have to say. Is this the highest art possible? Probably not. Did I fly through it? Did I have a lot of fun? Yes. So it's getting 4 stars. And I will say also, like, it did not have too many action sequences. There were a couple of fist fights, but that's pretty much it. And so I could follow along the whole time, which is a miracle for me. And so overall, I just really enjoyed it, even if it's not like the best. Sometimes we just read a silly little book, and that's good. That's good for us. So 4 stars for this silly little book about poison. I don't know why, but something about poison in YA fantasy books tends to work for me. Like, I really enjoyed the first in that trilogy, I think it is, 3 Dark Crowns, and I've always meant to continue with that series, but I haven't yet. But the poison was one of the most interesting things about that story. So I don't know, maybe I just like poison in my fantasy stories. It's a weird niche fantasy thing. Let me know what your weird niche fantasy thing is, or if you don't read any fantasy, what your weird niche thing is for some other genre. But yeah, that was a random pick for me, and I'm glad I enjoyed it. To have a book that was just, I kept flipping pages. It was easy to get through, and I enjoyed my time doing so. That was a win for me. If I read this at a different time, would it be a 4 stars? Who knows? Ratings are based on the moment when you read something, and also ratings are fake. So that's on that. Oh, also, if you're wondering, I did, in fact, get a haircut the other day, just a little trim. Nevertheless, my hair continues to act like the main character of my channel, so yeah. Hey, howdy, hey, happy Sunday. What has been up? It's been a busy couple of days. Yesterday, I hung out with a friend all morning, and then with my parents all afternoon. And today, I was volunteering this morning, and then I'm leaving to hang out with another friend soon. So busy. I haven't gotten much reading time, which is a bit unfortunate because I did actually start Mission Child, and I'm only this far into it, like 23%, which like I guess could be worse, but I'm really hoping to finish this before I leave because I could theoretically find space to put it in my backpack. It's a pretty small book, but I would rather not and just leave it here. So the goal is to finish it before I leave on Tuesday morning. So I have all day tomorrow to work on it. And I guess I don't have too many plans tomorrow, but still I have like over 5 hours of this left. So this was maybe a mistake, but I think I'm up to the challenge. And since I'm hanging out with a friend tonight, I probably won't make much more progress. But if I could make it to page 100 before I leave for that, that would be great. I'm on page like 80 right now. So we'll see what we can do. I'm not too confident in that, but I guess even if I get one more page read, that will be a page closer to the end of the book. Do I really know what's happening right now? No, mainly because I had to very much take a nap in the last few pages because my nervous system needed like a hard reset. So I read a few pages and it got to the way where my brain was like, I don't think I'm going to remember any of this information when I come back to the book. So I might have to reread the last few pages. And then I like crashed out on the couch. Oh, we're up now and we'll see what we can do. But this is the goal, because I teased it so much during the video. I was like, I think I might read this book. I think I might read this book. So I might as well. And that would bring me up to a total of 4 physical owned books while I was here. So that would be great. That's the goal. Let's see if we can make it happen. Hello. It is Monday afternoon and I'm making progress on Mission Child. I'm this far in. So I only have like an hour and a half left according to Bookly. Should be totally doable to finish this tonight, which is great. What is not great is that I'm not loving it. So there's that, but I'll have my full thoughts on this book after it's done. I'll actually probably have my full thoughts on this book once I'm back at school, so I won't have the book to show you. But yeah, I am reading this. But what I wanted to talk to you about was that I went to the little free library that's closest to my house earlier today while I was just on a walk with my mom, and I picked up some fun books. So I wanted to talk about those. The first one that caught my eye is Alex by Pierre Lemaitre. It won the CWA International Dagger Award for Best Crime Novel. It's translated from French, and I'm always looking for a translated book and a good crime novel. So I'm hopeful about this one. I've also had lots of good experiences reading translated mystery thrillers, so wanted to add another to the collection. And like the blurbs on this are superb. The Daily Mail called this diabolical, which absolutely makes me want to read it. So that was the first pick. And then the second one is like a little more low key. It's The Other Year. And this one is like a parallel timeline situation where this family's on a beach vacation and their daughter goes missing, but she like immediately turns back up. Except then it splits into 2 timelines, a timeline where she was never found and a timeline where she was found. And we see the differences between those 2 lives for the parents. So we see the main character's reaction to those 2 different realities, which just sounded interesting to me. Those were my 2 picks. These 2 are going to live here for now. As much as I would like to bring a ton of books with me, I have no room in my suitcase, so I can't do that. The plan tonight is to finish this book, soak up the last few hours with my parents for spring break, and then tomorrow morning we're gonna fly out and head back to school. Yippee. So even if you lose your way, I will still be there. Let's pretend for a second that it's not several days later, but it is. And I'm back at school, obviously, and I have a review for you for Mission Child. I'm too lazy, so I'm not going to put a graphic up. I showed you the book, you know what it looks like, and I didn't rate it that highly. In fact, I've now forgotten my rating, BRB. Right, so I gave it 2.5 stars. This book, how do I even describe this book? It takes place on another planet. We're starting at this like mission colony that this human lives in, but then they get attacked, and so she has to run away from it, and we're kind of just following her journey across several years. Just want to jump in and clarify, I'm about to tell you that this character is like non-binary, but I'm using she, her pronouns in the beginning of this review, and that's for 2 reasons. 1, the character doesn't ask for different pronouns, and 2, the part of the book that I'm talking about, the character explicitly identified with she, her pronouns, like used those to refer to herself. So that's why. The reason it's hard to describe is also one of the reasons I didn't particularly love this book. It feels disjointed. I felt like I didn't understand the point of the story. Some people said maybe that it was like originally 3 novelettes, and it definitely kind of feels that way, where the only thing holding it together is the main character. Other than that, it feels like 3 very separate chunks of story, none of which really do much. I do think we had an interesting opportunity in this book to deal with gender and gender identity. It's not said explicitly this way, but from all the descriptions, it seems like the main character is non-binary. So I was down to read that representation. But then, as some other people in reviews have pointed out, it's kind of surface level representation at best. We know that the character doesn't feel like a female, we know that they don't feel like a male, they feel like something else. And that is like a very basic description of one way that non-binary people can feel, right? Gender identity is different for each and every person. But I feel like we didn't actually explore much about the character's actual feelings about that, which was weird because we were following this character over the course of many years of their life, and we just like lacked insight into truly how that changed their concept of self or anything like that. So, So anyway, yeah, I'm so glad that I read it. Yay, representation, I guess. And that's another book off my shelf. In this vlog, I managed to read 4 owned books for my shelves back home, which I'm super excited about. I also acquired several more though, as you saw. So is my TBR still exponentially growing instead of shrinking? Mayhaps, but we're working on it. And now I'm back at school, and I don't really buy books while I'm at school except when I'm at a conference, which I guess I'm going to next week. But generally, I don't. So if I focus for a bit on reading some of my physical owned books that are here, we can make up the difference. Thanks for spending spring break with me, letting me talk about my silly little books. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. Do you feel like you're acquiring books at a rate faster than you're reading them? Or do you feel like you've found your balance so far? I would love to know. And subscribe for more bookish and college lifestyle content. And until next time, bye humans, bye!